My name is John Ross with Finance on a Budget. In this video, you will learn about what the Credit Card Act of 2009 is and how you can use this knowledge to arm yourself against the perils of having a credit card. While your Visa or MasterCard isn't really evil incarnate, it can drag you down into the fiery pits of bottomless debt if you're not aware of your rights. So like this video, subscribe, and ring that bell notification. Okay, first things first. Why am I making it sound like credit cards are the bane of all existence? I found that in general, they would wait until I was teetering on 100% full utilization and barely paying the minimum. As long as I paid for a few months like this, they would actually offer me an extension on the line of credit. But like the fool, I spent up more money, thus giving me more to pay back in monthly interest fees. They are just waiting for you to go over the limit so they can hit you with that over the limit fee. I thought my 0% interest card was really 0%. It kinda was, but it kinda wasn't. When I first got it, I bought some stuff on it, and then I did a balance transfer. I didn't really use the credit card, I never paid any attention to it. I just paid a fixed amount when it was due, and that was that. Little did I know that while the transfer may be 0% interest for 18 months, it was only 6 months on the purchases. They were charging me $35 a month for 3 months before I even realized it. I didn't know because the line item was on page 3. I had no reason to scroll down that far. Banks are liars and cheats. They are always waiting for you to stop paying attention for only a minute. They are not helping you. Anytime they can pull a nickel out of you, that's what they do. Banks are evil. Don't give them your money. If I didn't catch it, that $35 a month would have become $420 a year. Think about what you can do with that money. Own your car 1 month sooner, or even a weekend getaway. Managing your credit card is like any other skill in life. You should only have 2 choices. Learn how to play the game, or don't play at all. A few months ago, I watched a local store give a woman with a 550 credit score a $300 card. She put everything back into her cart and went shopping. The next month, she will have another $25 minimum payment. So, let's talk about your credit card and your rights. By definition, the Credit Card Accountability, Responsibility, and Disclosure Act of 2009, CARD Act, is a federal law that shields you from evil banks and the credit card companies with abusive lending practices. In general, the CARD Act protects you by restricting how much a company can hike up its interest rates on your credit card. Arbitrary rate increases aren't allowed, so you don't have to worry about bill shock. A credit card company can also factor in your credit score plus market factors to lower your interest rate if needed. Under the CARD Act, statements must be mailed to you with at least 21 days before the actual due date, with clear late fees and interest rates, and due dates that fall on the same day every month. Gift cards and the like must have clear expiration dates that can't be sooner than 5 years from the date of purchase. Basically, everything has to be clearly disclosed with no deception or nasty gimmicks to make sure that your credit card company doesn't have any tricks up its sleeve. Another important thing to know is that when it comes to multiple fees on a credit card, the minimum fee is applied to the lowest interest first. Anything above that goes to the next highest fee. So, if you have a 0% interest and a 29% interest, then 0% is your minimum, and anything you pay over that lowers your 29% interest debt. Obviously, you want to pay over as much as you possibly can to get that higher interest down and gone. Now, why do we have to go through all that? Because you need to know your rights. Credit cards, and by extension, credit card companies, are evil, so you have to arm yourself with the right equipment to fight them off. Shiny plastic cards make it seem so fancy and fabulous to buy tons of stuff that you don't really need. By nature, humans are more inclined to indulge with credit cards than with cash, and then, before you know it, it's getting harder and harder to pay in full each month when the bill comes. And you be sure they know this. Since Cool Shopping with Barbie released in 1997, they had a Barbie come with a register and a Visa card. When I heard about this, I was like, no. In 2020, I came across a credit card for kids. I was not only shocked, but horrified. My son doesn't spend his allowance money, he knows how to save. But in no way do I believe he should invest his allowance in a secured credit card. Unbelievable what these companies will try. In both of these examples, they are teaching children at a very young age about brand recognition. When they grow up, they can't wait to get their first retail card around 18 years old. I remember my first store credit card. It was a Reed's department store. I was 18 and I wanted to buy a boombox. For all you young whippersnappers out there, a boombox is a fancy radio. But I loved mine. It had 2 tape decks, a newfangled CD player, and detachable speakers. I knew it would look great in my bedroom, but it was an astounding $300. That was so expensive to a kid like me who worked at Burger King for $5 an hour. But I filled out a simple piece of paper and the guy faxed it into the bank. I am so dating myself here. A few minutes later, he was wrapping it up and telling me it was all mine. Soon after, it was a $1,400 desktop computer, a 486 DX2 at 66 megahertz, and it came with Windows 3.1 pre-installed. I really got to stop with these dinosaur age stories. Yeah. Anyway, the point is that as soon as I was old enough to pay interest, they were willing to give me more and more credit. You create debt by going into more debt. Every time that you don't pay your monthly bill in full, a chunk of those payments goes towards the interest payments, effectively ballooning up your balance. To really drive the point home, let me enumerate all of the perils of the plastic credit cards right here. Making minimum payments gives you a false sense of security. Multiple credit cards can easily make you lose track of your spending, which means that you can pretty much say goodbye to your strict monthly budget. Miss a payment and your credit score is damaged. The amount you owe to your credit card company comes from building a financial safety net, so you can say goodbye to that emergency fund too. With increasing credit card bills, you end up running out even before payday comes. Credit cards tempt you to go out and buy things that you can't realistically afford. All that debt soon becomes habit forming, and then one day you wake up and you're stuck in an endless cycle of getting into new debt to pay off the old debt. This is the worst place to get sucked into, making financial freedom harder and harder to reach. With that abyss of credit card debt, you get stressed out, your health suffers, and your personal relationships are thrown into chaos too. It gets easier and easier to swipe that card, but harder and harder to live with the consequences. I want to stress how important that last point is. Credit cards give you the feeling of elation, this illusion that you can afford things that you really can't. I had a Hyundai Accent with a monthly car payment of only $130 a month. I liked the car well enough, but I had a really good client and had more work than I knew what to do with. I outsourced retouching just to keep pace. With all that money coming in regularly, I had a choice. One was that I could pay off that car pretty easily and own it outright. So, of course, I went with the second choice, which was leasing a Nissan Rogue at $435 a month. Less than 1 year later, bad things happened and I lost that business. 2 months later, I lost that Rogue too. I know it wasn't a credit story, but it's still an important story about biting off more than you can chew. Just because you can afford a payment today doesn't mean you'll be able to afford it tomorrow. Do your best to pay with cash for everything that you've already earned. The freedom of being a freelancer lets you work anywhere you want, anytime you want, and however you want. You can skip a day or two for a holiday vacation or stare out into space from the comfort of your own room if you feel like it, and then just pick up the slack at the rest of the week. But the downside to all that freedom from a regular 9-to-5 job is that your income source isn't fixed either. You may find yourself raking in the dough 1 month and then barely scraping by the next month. Here's where the evils of credit card can really get you. With how easy it is to swipe and revel in the false belief that you can afford something, you can just as easily slip and realize that you're not going to have enough income coming in by the end of the month to pay off the credit card debt. You think to yourself, it's fine. I've got this big project coming up next month anyway, so I can just pay it off then. And that thought alone is when you start your epic journey to living in back debt. A one-way ticket only, non-refundable. That said, I hope I was able to shed some light on the dark side of credit cards so that you always know what you're getting yourself into whenever you swipe that card. There are good things about credit cards too, but we'll get to that in a different video. I'll put a link in the description below. Please be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification. Thanks for watching.